All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are here on the Studs podcast. Welcome, welcome in. We hope you all are doing very well right now. We are here today. It's Mike. I'm here with Keth. Keth, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right, man. You know, taking everything one day at a time, just like everybody else. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing great, doing great. Can't complain. We're here with Big Lou as well. Lou, what's going on, man?
Living the dream, man. We're at quarantine day. I lost count, but it's
Day
losing my
69.
mind over there.
Yeah.
Day
My mind.
69.
Yeah, nice.
Today, before I introduce our next person, we are here with a very, very special episode. You know, when we look back at this podcast, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now, where we have 3 million listeners and we're super successful, we're going to look back at this episode because this is our first ever interview on the Studs podcast. Close friend of mine, a close friend of Keith, and a new friend of Louis as of 10 minutes ago. This man I've had the honor of knowing for almost 5, 6, 7 years now. Through martial arts, we met. It was the honor to be at his wedding, to be the DJ of his wedding. One of the best weddings I ever been to. This man is the owner of Kobra Kawaii. He is, again, a martial artist and a professional dancer, which we'll talk about as well. This is Gabriel Bryant. Gabriel, how you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. Pleasure to have you on the show, Gabe.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I can't take credit for the hat. My wife made it. She's got her own little Etsy store that she does like creative stuff. She makes jewelry and embroidery, like hats and shirts. She actually embroidered a shirt of mine too.
Wow, that's really cool. Definitely
Talented,
check
man.
some of those out later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabe, how you been doing during this crazy time?
I am I'm on the better end of things because I did like Ubering as a part-time job, so now it's just like became my full-time because I'm
You're still
essential.
Ubering? Oh,
Hell
geez.
yeah.
So let me ask you this right off the bat. For Ubering, how, like when someone Ubers, do you have to like when you're done, you drop them off obviously and pick them up, drop them off. Do you have to like disinfect your like whole car afterwards? Like how do you do that?
I don't have to do anything. I do it because I don't die. So
Right, absolutely, yeah.
I don't do it every car ride because if I did that, I would be out of all my stuff. So I have to kind of be smart about it. So
you probably pass out from the Lysol and stuff too. I don't blame you.
The Lysols I'm actually used to at this point, but that's one of the things is like I have literally not bought a single can of Lysol. I've gotten them handed down because I cannot find Lysol anywhere, so I have to be sparingly using that. So if I have like a mad amount of rides, then I'll like think about like maybe halfway between. I might Lysol wipe the car down, and then at the end of the night, I definitely wipe the car down. But like,
That's fine.
yeah, so like, but if it's just like a couple of rides, like maybe I do like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 rides and everything else is just like Uber Eats or something, I'll wait till the end of the night and I'll wipe the car down. So I wipe down the seatbelts, the handles, anything they might have touched. I'll wipe down the outside handles of the car door, and then I will Lysol the seats, the head part. I'll Lysol all the handle stuff, and I'll also Lysol the my floor mats because they said that Corona could actually survive on your feet too. So
Really?
so I wipe down the like feet, the mats down on the floor too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in between each ride, I'll open the windows because it's airborne. So one of the things you want to do is kind of like circulate the air. So I'll open up the windows for in between each ride, especially if it's like a 7 minutes between rides, then that's even better for me. I got face masks. My mom's a nurse, so she hooked me up with the N95s. So I got that.
Yeah.
And I got gloves, and she also made hand sanitizer. So that's the best use of having a nurse as a mom.
That's
or a mom
awesome.
as a nurse.
Jesus, God bless
Is it
you.
a
I don't know if I'd be able to like Uber people around. I'd get too freaked out. You know what I mean? I'd have to like disinfect and like have like a whole body wash afterwards.
I mean, I get freaked out, but like, what else am I gonna do? Like,
That's true. Yeah.
there is no other jobs to do unless you're interacting with potential sickies. Like,
That's
if I
true.
go to a grocery store, you go to like Walmart, Target, you work at those places, you're also gonna be interacting. And at least with my job, I can actually wear my mask and my gloves. Some of those places, they're like discouraging people from wearing masks or gloves because you freak out the customer. It's like,
really?
yeah. Like if you go to any food place, there is not a single food place I've seen that someone has a mask on. You don't go to McDonald's, you go to Burger King, whatever. You don't see no masks. You might see some gloves, or you might.
But it's all drive-through stuff at those places mostly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been able to go in there. It's all drive-through.
No, like some of them are pick up too. Like like if you go to Chipotle, you go inside. Like some Chipotles, they'll like block you at the door, but other Chipotles you can walk up to the counter. So like not every store is doing the same process. So it's like
Chipotle street man at the door. Hey, it's your order, man.
Yeah, like I ended up in Rhode Island just like a couple of weeks ago, and I went to the Chipotle there, and they have you walk up to the counter and like talk to them and pick up your order from the counter. So it's like and then none of them have their face masks on. None of them, and like I've ordered drive-through, and like people have not had gloves on, and they just handed me food. They've I don't even know how they cook it. Like I don't know if they're wearing gloves when they cook. I don't know what they're doing.
That's crazy. I mean, in the food business, you deal with people all the time, so you'd think that they'd be like the most careful, especially at those.
No, they're some of the worst people that like.
That's crazy.
In terms of cleaning, like some of those places are like the worst. I went to before Corona went crazy. Half my movie theater got shut down because there were rats in the movie theater.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So they had like shut down half the movie theater, and like apparently it's been a thing that they had rats for a while. Like people have seen them before. I've never seen them. I go to movies a lot, and somehow I always miss them. But like I had friends telling me about it.
That's crazy.
So
I'm actually lucky that I got Uber to protect myself and stuff, and I still make money.
How would you say business is with Uber right now? Is it more? Is it? I'm assuming less. I could be wrong. Is it more? Is it less? Is it about the same?
It is more.
Is it more?
Yeah. So there's a couple of factors why it's more. One is I think there are probably less Uber drivers on the road just because they might be a little bit paranoid. But also, so I'm like, I'm not hurting. I make like 100, 250 every day. Yeah. And then like another thing is people get so sick of being in their house that they like want to go out and stuff. So like,
just take a ride.
No, they go to house parties. Yo, I've been dropping people off at bad house parties. That's crazy. Like. You go to like Chelsea or like Fall River, like I am busy. It is.
Now, these guys are they showing up in masks and gloves too, or are they not doing any precaution?
Wow! You're just going out to party. You don't take any precautions on your party.
I had a girl. I had a girl last week. Can you swear on this?
Or... Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't want to screw you guys up or anything, but like she dropped like mad Patron all over the car. I didn't know this. She didn't say shit to me. Like I heard the like bottle fall under the seats, and I'm just like, oh, maybe she just
that
like
kills germs.
Yeah. But like after she left, the car just smelled like Patron. Patron is such a distinct smell. I instantly knew it was Patron. And I'm like, oh, did she just like spill it on the floor? No, it was her seat, the seat next to her, on the ground, and the seat next to her. I'm like, how do you drop Patron everywhere? But like
half off in the back while you were driving or something.
Oh, she hadn't been drinking back there. She hadn't been drinking. And so, she's not the first person I've dropped off at, like, house parties. I've been dropping mad people off at house parties. It's wild. Like, they just, like kids don't care. Like, people that, like, the college kids are just like so stuck in their houses. I think they're just sick of it, and so like I be just like I'm busy. I'm like legitimately busy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Two things you don't want to give Louis is Patron and cider.
Yeah.
Do you want to dive in on that?
We'll keep that off here.
We'll keep that
All right.
Gabe, I wanted to start off. That obviously I totally forgot about the Uber thing, so I'm glad we got to talk about that. What a little fun question before we dive into some more things. You know, and I found this online. A lot. Yeah, no, you know, I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of podcasts ask this question, so I'm like, you know what? Let me do this. You know, so Gabe, on the spot, and everyone's gonna go on the spot because I'm gonna go on the spot too. What's your go-to order at your go-to restaurant? This could be like a childhood restaurant. This could be a current, whatever it is. Like, did you ever have that one restaurant where it's like, I gotta go there, I gotta get that chicken parm, I gotta get the buffalo tenders, whatever. What would that be, and what's the go-to order?
So it was it's Borders Cafe. They don't make it anymore. They stopped making it about like 6 months ago, and I would order it for years. I've been going to Borders Cafe since I was like 5 years old in Cambridge. They have a couple of spots in Mass, but like the Cambridge spot in the Harvard Square is where I mainly go to. But it was so Borders Cafe is like this Mexican / Louisiana mixture. So It's got like Mexican stuff and like Louisiana
got kick to it, yeah.
Southern stuff. So no, it's more Louisiana than anything else. It's like it's not barbecue. It's different. Like Louisiana is like spices. It's like, you know, like chili. It's like
jambalaya.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Huh?
Oh, Mike, cousin, why'd you have to say it like that?
Yeah, no, but
I like it.
That's true.
I like
it's true. Yeah,
yeah.
But like that's what it is. It's like so you know you get there, you got your like you can get a margarita, you get like a big basket of like tortilla chips, and then I would normally get what I order is I would get this like pasta jambalaya. There's like it's like pasta with like I think that had shrimp in it and had like sausage, and you get like this like chili powder all over it. And then on the you also get a biscuit with it. No,
the biscuits.
It was cornbread. It was cornbread that you get with it.
And cornbread. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So like I would always get that every single time. If for years, like I would say like 15 years, I would do that. And then like out of nowhere, they're like, gone. I'm like, oh,
terrible. Let me ask you a question about that biscuit. So I'm a little weird. I want to know if anyone else knows this. No pending question.
You're weird about this.
So let me ask you first, okay? So
definitely the weird.
Normally when I'm eating, if I don't eat the biscuit first, what I like to do is I like to like take it and like I mop up whatever like leftovers I have on the plate, especially if it's like jambalaya, like maybe like some of the I don't know like the juices in it, and then I eat the biscuit like that. Does anyone else do that, or is that just me?
No.
Like you literally clean your plate to like soak it up and then you eat the biscuit.
I do that a little bit. I do enjoy the biscuits by themselves too, but like if I have like biscuit or cornbread and there's like, you know, you've got some sauce at the end, like let's say I ate everything, because the biscuits and cornbread for me, that's like dessert. I always do that last. And so I eat the main meal first. So I clean that. And there's like some juices or something on there. Yeah. I'll take that cornbread and I'll like swirl it around, you know, try and make sure I eat it before my wife tries to steal my cornbread because she loves them too.
Oh my God. But my favorite thing to do with cornbread is if you have these three things, it's a perfect situation. If you have pulled pork, if you have mac and cheese, and you got cornbread, I weird combination, but I split up the cornbread and I blend it all together. I put it all together. Oh my God!
Like wait. You mean like all together, like in like one bowl,
like a sandwich?
Like if it's pulled pork, mac and cheese, I'm gonna get the cornbread and I just mash it up and I eat it with the mac and cheese and the pulled pork. Oh my God!
Okay, that's
serial killer stuff right there. Like
if it's weird and I want to be weird, man. It's delicious.
KFC like secret labs. That's like some
I
stuff they would do, like put it in a bowl and stuff. They're like, oh, it's
No,
all
no.
together.
I mean, it could be a bowl. I mean, it's normally at a cookout. You got the paper plate. If there's mac and cheese or pulled pork, I'll just have the piece of cornbread and I'll cut it up and just eat it with the pulled pork and mac and cheese. It's like an unbaked pulled pork mac and cheese, unbaked.
Speaking about KFC, you guys ever try that
The
chicken
cornbread
donut that they
topping.
made? Yeah, the cornbread topping. The chicken donut that they made. You see that? That glazed donut, a heart attack on a bun.
I don't hate my body enough to do that.
Yeah, it's
I haven't tried it yet either. I'm pretty sure I would have a heart
The
attack.
last hype food I've eaten that I've consistently eaten has been the Popeyes spicy chicken.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing that I consistently will eat. That's been the hype food.
They give you your dipping sauces?
It's just a chicken sandwich. So it's a sandwich.
No, we've had some issues with Popeyes, man, with the dipping sauces.
I don't care about that.
Are you ketchup, mustard, or barbecue sauce guy?
Me?
Anybody? Yeah. What do you?
I'm ketchup before anything.
Yeah.
I literally eat eggs every morning, and I have ketchup with them. I eat 3 eggs, and I put ketchup with them. Yeah.
How do you make those eggs? They scrambled?
Generally it's scrambled. I eat eggs because in general I'm not a really heavy person in general. And so literally the only reason I even remotely weigh 145 to 150 right now is because I force myself to eat.
Protein.
If I don't eat that, I'm just gonna if I ate healthy and consistently, I would easily be naturally 135, 140, but I want to be heavier, so I force myself with eggs. So I'm stuff those down every morning, and it's scrambled in general just because scrambled is super easy to make. It's super fast. You really have to be terrible at cooking to mess up scrambled eggs. So I do that. If I get bored, I'll do sunny side up fried eggs or something like that. But in general, it's scrambled eggs, or I mix it up with pancakes if I'm super bored with eggs. Yeah.
Well, this brings me. I'll go to this topic first because this was on my list of questions. Was how do you look so young? You're what? You're 34?
35.
You look like you're 24, 25. And before we continue the segment, shout out. This segment sponsored by Borders Cafe in Cambridge, Massachusetts. You can't go there anymore, but if they're listening, if the owners are listening, this is sponsored by you guys. I mean, do you have a routine that you do? Is it just fitness? Is it just? I mean, you once told me that it was. Looks like we lost Keith. Hopefully he'll join back on. You told me before it was MTV all day or Comedy Channel all day,
Comedy Central,
and Comedy Central, and cookies and eating every 2 hours and just laughing a lot. So, do you have a routine that you do? Is it skincare? What is it, man?
I think it's generally just not giving a shit about most things.
So stress.
I watch my friends, they freak out over every fucking thing, and so I think what makes me different from everybody else is I just stop giving a shit about a lot of different things, especially things that other people will judge you on. And so I think what happens is you keep that all in, that you're worrying about, oh, is this person gonna like this thing? Is this other person gonna like that thing? And oh, should I do this thing? I don't know. What are people gonna judge me because I do this thing? And I'm I generally don't give a shit what other people think. And I will say there's probably a max of 10 people in the world that I generally care about their opinion, and that's pushing it on the things I do, and that's only because they can help me be better at the things I like to do. And that's the only reason why I care. I probably the top people in my head right off the bat are my jujitsu instructors, my wife, my mom, my godfather, and that, that's just because they actually affect what I like want to do in life.
Of course.
But had I cared about what other people's opinions were, I would never have gotten into anime. I would never have gotten into like because of I liked anime. That kind of like led into like the clothing line because I was like I made anime friends, and me and my anime friends made an anime clothing line, and then that kind of blew up. If I cared about other people, I wouldn't have gotten into martial arts. I wouldn't have been doing it for so long, and I wouldn't have. That led into a whole bunch of things because I did martial arts. It led me into martial arts tricking, which actually led me into doing professional dance. Tricking actually helped me get into professional dance. I wasn't even, doing that. Like I started a lot of things late. The only thing I started like on time, quote unquote, is martial arts because I started that when I was younger. But like tricking, I started that like doing tricking is karate flips and tricks and gymnastics. Basically, whatever you see in a martial arts movie is what we do without wires. I started that when I was like 18, 19. Like literally around the time I graduated high school is when I started doing that. And then I started breakdancing on my own when I was like 21, 22, which is super late in like terms of like b-boy years. And because I did that tricking, that led me into doing like choreo and professional dancing stuff. And I started that at like 28, somewhere around there, like really late in the game. And I just do things because I like them. Like I've done like pro wrestling training. I did that when I was like in my mid-20s. I couldn't keep up with it because my karate school ended up closing, so I didn't have a paycheck for that. But I love doing that, and that I did that because I just do things because I love them. And so what a lot of times happens is like one big thing I've noticed is I don't get sick. I literally do not get sick compared to everybody else in my life. And I got really sick as a kid, but now I haven't gotten legitimately sick in a long time. The only things I have ever gotten in the past 10 years or 15 years has been I get sinus infections. But I haven't even gotten that in like 2 years, honestly. And then the only other thing I have ever gotten was that super bug stomach flu that came around that was like that was like 5 years ago, where everybody caught that. Like you were coming out both ends, like middle of the night. It was like no stopping that. That's legitimately the last time I've gotten sick. And I think a big part of it is I don't give a shit. Everybody know, like we all understand, like stress lowers your immune system because you're carrying that around, and because your immune system is lowered, you are more susceptible to getting sick. So I think personally, because I don't give a shit, I don't get sick as well. And so I don't have the wrinkles. I'm not like, my body's not falling apart. And I take care of my body. I abuse the shit out of my body, but I also take care of it. I'm constantly working out. When I was like a kid, I was a fat kid. So for various reasons, biggest part is because I had really bad asthma. And so they put me on prednisone. And prednisone is a medicine. It's a steroid medicine that like actually makes you fat. And so a big problem was when I was a kid, I had babysitters because my mom was a nurse, and those babysitters would see me. They didn't understand. Hey, what up?
Hey, what's happening?
Keith's back. All right.
I'm here to decide to die and then do updates afterwards. So.
Oh wow!
Did not want me going on. So, but I, I control my own destiny.
It seemed like you realized that pretty fast. It didn't take you to your 25, 30, 35 years. I mean, not even 35. You're just about to be 35. But
I am 35.
Yeah, you are.
It's birthday, dummy.
I know. You're just so young, man. You're so young, man. It seems like it didn't take you a while.
Yeah, so prednisone was like it was a problem. And then my babysitters thought I was fat because they saw me visually fat. And unfortunately, I didn't understand that stuff. I was a really little kid. So no one ever explained to me that the medicine was making me fat. I just thought I was a fat kid. And so my babysitters would feed me like I was a fat kid. Because I was a kid also. And so I was always hungry. And she didn't feed me the right things. So I, you know, some people, the adults in my life were definitely to blame for this because I was a kid. I was a kid. I was like 10, 11, 12 at that time. So obviously I have no control over what people are going to feed me. I just eat what they feed me. And so like, you know, people were feeding me like 2 liter. I literally was drinking two 2-liter bottles of soda a week. Like by myself basically. And like, I was getting fed like cakes and like candies and all the terrible stuff. And so I like legitimately, I was like, I think in high school, fresh 8th grade going into high school, I was 5'4" and 170 pounds. So I was a big boy as a kid, and because of that, I like, you know, people like pick on you, and so like, you know, and it's school, so everybody's got their cliques, and I was definitely like in the outcast of like fat black kid at like a like in high school and who likes anime and drawing comic characters all day long. So I was like a big target, and that was like a big problem. And so like I one of the cool things was I wasn't doing martial arts at the time, unfortunately, because when I was a kid, my mom lost her job, and so I had to like I stopped martial arts for a very long time, and I didn't start up until I was in high school. But my friends at the time, they were really cool about it. They were like, they saw that I had a lot of problems. People were like picking on me, and I was overweight. So my friend Derek and Gustavo, who were basically like my brothers, we started like a mini fight club where they were like basically beating the shit out of me to try and help train. And because they were always healthier than me, I really wanted to like, you know, try and like be like them. Even though they were like a couple of years younger than me, I wanted to be like them. So like I would say sophomore, junior year of high school, we started doing this. I started running a lot more. I stopped drinking soda. I started eating better. Better-ish. It was more like I starved myself because I didn't know what to do. I was reading the internets and trying to figure things out. But like I dropped. I grew a little bit, which helped. So I went from 5'4" to like around senior year, I ended up being 5'8". So like that helped a lot. But at the same time, it was like all the good things I did to start working out more, started running more. I dropped from 170 to down to 125 was my lowest in senior year. Yeah. I dropped down, then I went back up, but healthily back up. But yeah, those like just being better about my body and how I like do the things, I think helped me not look really old and also not giving a shit what people think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but like mine happened a little bit earlier, you know, 7, 8, even until I was 12 years old, 11 years old, I would just eat everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I wasn't on, it was like nothing. This was pure habit, just being an Italian and being in an Italian family where everyone's giving you stinking macaroni every single day. And
yeah, it's the
you know,
sugars.
The best phase too is you're a growing boy, keep eating. And that's what I did. I was a growing boy.
I also think the big problem is people just didn't understand how things worked back then. Like I've seen the pictures of you from like your early karate days, and like you were a little chubby. Oh, lost him again.
God, this kid.
He's leaving, man.
But I think one of the biggest problems was back in the 90s and stuff, and like even the early 2000s, is like people didn't understand what was going on, and like the food industry was like messing with us. Like if you look at all the studies and like you listen to like podcasts and stuff, you find out like the food industry manipulated like even like the food pyramid. You know that food pyramid that we're all supposed to like.
Yeah.
These are all the health things you're supposed to eat. Grains and pastas is like the base of this thing. Like, like that. Those are sugars. Those are things that make you like fat, and like, you know, breads. You know, like my favorite line from like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like, you know, like she's like bread's gonna make you fat. And Scott's just like, bread makes you fat. It's like, like that's a legit thing. Like I heard that line and I went, wait, bread makes you fat? But like it's real. Like, and I think we suffered a little bit because we just didn't have the best education on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's like my point I was trying to get to was like, for me, I don't know how you feel, but for me, like going through that phase early on in my life, I am so much happier I went through that phase that now I'm not going through that out of shape or not eating healthy phase. I'm kind of happy it happened at an earlier time because I was able to learn from it and now apply it now. You know what I'm saying? For me, I'm happy. I wish I never had to go through it. I wish I wasn't like that. But I'm happier it did it happen earlier. I was supposed to have diabetes at 13 years old, 14 years old. That didn't happen. So it was like, and listening to all these podcasts, and I don't know if you listen to like Tim Ferriss or Dave Asprey, Bulletproof, or like the coffee. One of the big things,
I know about them because they go as guests on my like other podcasts, like Joe Rogan and the Fighter and Kid. So I know of their existence. I don't listen to them specifically.
Yeah. One of the big things is fat. It's like you could talk to a lot of people and they'll tell it, no, don't eat that. Too much fat. Too much this. Too much that. Well, my philosophy is, whatever works for you works for you. When people tell me, oh, you drink too much coffee or, the bulletproof coffee ain't good for you. Well, listen, it changed my life. I lost 50, 60 pounds in the past 3 years because of it. What works for you might not work for someone else. You're able.
So for me, I will say on the point of would I rather have done it early or later? Actually, later, because early on, because I went through that phase through a big portion of my school year. So I would say I got fat around 5th grade, 6th grade. And I got skinny around sophomore year of high school, senior year of high school.
Yep.
That was torture. So I hated that because I'm already a target for like being like the kind of like outcasty black kid in my school who liked to draw and animate. I didn't need like the fatness on top of that. So I was just like a big super target and like they tortured the shit out of me in school. So for me personally, everybody goes through their own different stuff, For me personally, I would rather have done it later in life. If I had to choose, it would have been later in life. At least later in life, it would have been like emotionally wise, it would have been easier to handle. It was super hard for me in school. I like hated my school because of it. There are parts of my like school year I've completely blocked out because I got tortured so much in school. That's just me. It's gonna be me.
Of course, it's still like that. Before I had another question regarding like fitness and stuff and more about dancing, but do you guys have any other questions regarding this topic at all?
I had a question. Attributing to not giving a shit, like you said, what kind of made you change into that mentality? What kind of clicked for you at that moment? You're like, all right, you know what? Like,
you want to know honestly? Girls. Because as dumb as it sounds, it's girls. Because like when I was a kid, I was like the hopeless romantic kid. Like I literally would do all sorts of like, I jumped through the fucking hoops for girls. Like
they were like the simp, right? Is that what they call them now?
Now they do. I guess I guess I would be like the simp person, and like I see my friends, they'd be like getting all these girls, and like I was the guy who, like, if I got a girl, it was like a shock to people. Like, yo, what? It was like legit. Like everybody would be surprised if I ever got a girl. I like grew more into not giving a shit because I realized I started noticing that's what they responded to. As much as girls like will tell you, no, I want a guy who's really romantic, who gives me flowers. I did that stuff.
Yep.
But I noticed I got more notice for being more of an asshole than I was for being the nice guy. And so like I stopped giving more of a shit, and I realized it became an easier life for me once I started to be more assholey. Like obviously there's a fine line, like between like, you know, being the nice guy and being a complete dick.
Yeah.
There's a middle ground, and like girls responded way more to that middle ground. Even when I was like a little bit of a chubster, I would talk to girls. Like I would talk to like all these different girls when I was as a kid, like in high school. You know, I was always calling, like making friends with random girls on the phone and stuff, but I was just like more of the friend to them. And like I realized that it was just not working out for me. Like I remember the one time, like you would think like a lot of situations I've been in, you would think, oh, the girl's gonna like reward you for like doing all this shit. I remember this one time.
That's not true. Nope.
Freshman year in high school. It was either freshman year or sophomore year. I had made friends with this girl down in Newton, maybe. It was somewhere where I could like ride a train because there was no Uber for me to do. But like I would always ride trains and stuff. So I'm riding my bike to the train station, and there in front of City Hall in Framingham, there's an area you can walk across. There isn't a crosswalk at the time. There is now, and I'm the reason why. So
Sure.
So the one time I walked my bike, I would always, as a kid, I would always ride my bike across the street. You know, they always tell you, oh no, you're supposed to walk your bike, and I never walked my bike. This is literally the one time I ever did this. I got hit by an SUV. So what happened is I'm walking across, and there's an SUV like far off, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna stop in time. This motherfucking bitch was on her cell phone, and she stopped the very last minute. So the front of her SUV hit the handlebar, like the headlight hit the handlebar of my bike, and my bike turned, and the handlebar shattered her front headlight. So my hand ended up in the front headlight and got cut up. So I was like bleeding and stuff. So they had to call the cops and ambulance, and they checked my hand out, and it was like it was good, but that made me like not be able to go see that girl till like later that day. I still went. That's the fun part. Because I still went. I was on a mission. And so I still went, and like my hand had been like, you know, it was patched up. It wasn't like it needed stitches or anything. It was just like it just bled a little bit. It looked way more nasty than it actually was. But like I patched up, and I went to go see that girl. It was just like, oh, that sucks, blah blah blah. And it was like I got nothing. There was nothing. And I'm like, any other time, like now, I would have been like, no, fuck that. Yo, I got cut up. I'm going home. But like at that time, I'm so desperate to like, you know, meet a girl, get a girlfriend, whatever it did, like a chance or something from girls back then. Like I would jump through the hoops, and like I got nothing from them. So like that's honestly why like a big portion of it was like they're the reason why I stopped giving a shit.
Good answer, like that.
You know, sometimes I get in trouble now because I can be a little bit too much of an asshole. So it really, you know, every girl's different, every person's different. So that some respond better than the others.
Yeah, you took that time and invested in a woman. You kind of put it more towards yourself. And
yeah, no, definitely. They were just the basis, but like I started applying that like mentality to everything, and like things just got way easier after high school for me. And so like I applied that very much to like pretty much everything I did, especially like I would say really I turned 21, and I was working at this video game warehouse where I met all my friends that I started the company with. That's around the time I was like really not giving a crap about it. I don't know.
Keith just doesn't like listening to you. I don't know what it is.
He's like, this guy's drawing on, Clank.
Oh, his computer must have updated.
Like it just got way better once I stopped giving a shit about people's opinions about the things I like. Like I give a shit about things that are important, but like things I like, I'm not gonna listen to you tell me like, yo, you shouldn't do this or you should do this unless you have some value in it. or I'm like really want your opinion on stuff. I think like a big portion of like my problem with that was like I'm also an artist, and so I grew up being an artist online really early on. Like I was a kid who was on the internet really early in the game. I would say like in the 90s, I was online at like when I started going online, it's probably like 4th grade, which was like
AOL.
Yeah, no.
Dial up. You got
Dial-up.
Or even YouTube was a thing.
Started on with dial-up. I had AOL really early in the game. And was one of the things is I was really into art. And so I you know what? I was online when I was 7 years old. That's where I was because I designed websites when I was 7. So yeah, I was like really,
wow. All right.
I was really into coding. I was really into like the hacker culture. I wasn't a hacker, but I was in culture because I saw the movie Hackers on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes.
I started like looking that stuff up. I got into like web design because of that stuff, and I like learned how to make my own websites really early on when I was a kid. So I like designed websites, and so I was the reason why I was designing websites is because I wanted my own website for my art, and so. What I did was like I would be on like all these artist forums as a kid, and like it's rough when you're a kid because like you put your art up and no one really asks you how old you are before they start critiquing you.
Right,
so like yeah, artists are like ruthless when they're critiquing your art. They're fucking ruthless. So I was in elementary school going to middle school putting up like Spider-Man drawings, and I was like. Dragon Ball Z like was still like semi underground, but I have art from like the 90s of me drawing Dragon Ball Z characters and stuff and like putting that online, and like they would rip into me, and so like I really like a lot of their stuff really hurt, and so I was like really into that, and like that kind of laid the groundwork of like the potential to not giving a shit later on.
Yeah.
That's I've learned a lot, man. This is going great. I really.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of good information there.
Yeah,
I'm learning Keith has a terrible connection.
Like Keith, do you have dial-up? I've got questions.
I got mail too.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You need that 5G.
Yo. You want that 5G? You can need that 5G virus months, man. Get that 5G.
Wi-Fi, but that's only on one bar. So
yo,
I'm sorry.
It's your brother streaming all those movies. You know what kind of movies I'm talking about.
Anyway, we're gonna take Anyway, we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Now, please let me explain. Here's why. Number one, it's free. What's better than free? Number two, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcasts right from your phone or computer. You can literally go outside, record whatever you want to, and upload it. That's that easy. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more streaming services. Here's another great point. You can make more money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Okay, you can make as much money as you want, and there's no minimum on how many listeners will need to listen to it. And lastly, it's everything you need to make a podcast, a successful podcast, in one place. So they make it super easy for you. Here's what you need to do right now. If you're interested in making a podcast, you need to download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor, ANCHOR.FM to get started now. You do not want to miss out. Get started again. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm.com to get started now. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here in the Studs Podcast. We are having a great time with a close friend, owner of Kobra Kawaii, just an awesome guy, Gabriel Bryant here. Let's continue. I had a question regarding breakdancing. I was trying to think of the proper way to ask it because I'm very big into music. I love music. I love all of that. And how would you say right now the landscape of dancing, breakdancing? What would you call it? What was it? The tricks, the all that stuff. What would you say the landscape of that is now? Is it stronger than ever? Is it gaining steam? What is it? How would you say it is right now?
It's in a weird spot right now. So a big portion of it right now is kind of like conflicted on what they want to do. Here's the reason why: is breakdancing is now an Olympic sport. B-boying is an Olympic sport. All right, so they're introducing it. They started out with the Youth Olympics. You can find videos of it. Look up Bumblebee, B-boy Bumblebee. He's a kid.
Did you show that to us?
I don't know. It's totally possible. I've shown you lots of videos. So.
It's been 2 months since we've seen you in person, so
I can't remember, but it's totally possible. But so it's now they kind of tested the waters with that the Youth Olympics. And they had events around the world, and so it's led into it being an officially Olympic sport. But what the problem is with anything going mainstream, there's always somebody who's trying to control that kind of that culture, especially a culture that's rooted in the underground. When it goes mainstream, it's always had issues. Snowboarding had issues, skateboarding had issues. Now breakdancing has the exact same problems that both those cultures had. And so right now, in terms of the Olympics, it's not breakdancers, b-boys that are in control of it. It's they're professional dance companies and organizers who are trying to get dance in general into the Olympics. And they saw that the popularity of breakdancing, and they're using b-boys as a tool to get all dancing in. So I think one of the big problems is the rules are getting funky, where the rules are changing from what traditional b-boying is, where they want to, I feel make it more general so that it applies to all these other dance events. So it's not just limited to just b-boys. B-boy rules. B-boying rules, traditionally, this is how it works. You have 3 judges, so there's generally, hopefully not a tie at the end. And those judges, originally, you had no idea what they were looking for. You had a general, in your head, you have a general idea. What's generally accepted is one guy does better than the other guy. But why is this one guy doing better than the other guy? It is up to that judge. It could be one judge really liked the guy's footwork versus another judge who liked another guy's power moves, or another judge who liked a mixture of all the elements of he was dancing, he did footwork, he did power moves, he did a freeze, which is holding a pose really good. And then originally that it can be messy, and then b-boys started trying to organize those ideas a little bit better. B-boy events started to have more categorized judging systems, and so now the Olympics saw that, and they're making their own version of that. And it seems like that own version is going to apply to a lot of different events. And so it's kind of it's in a tough spot. It's I would say it's right now, it's the most accepted it's ever been in terms of mainstream, in terms of around the world, not just in America. It's really big. Korea, Korea was a powerhouse.
5. Oh, he's back.
For a long time, I would say a good 10 years, Korea was the top people. From I would say maybe 99 to 2010 maybe. They were the top guys. They were innovating power moves. They were doing incredible physically incredible stuff. And then obviously America started the whole game, and then later in the 2000s, after Korea kind of fell off a little bit, Korea was so popular with breakdancing that the government would actually officially sponsor breakdance events in Korea, and they would sponsor members. Government would sponsor actual b-boys from Korea to fly to America and Europe because they were killing it in all these places. And then it like kind of fell off for a little bit, and now Europeans have taken over. And so like it's popular everywhere. It's just like I think right now it's just in a tough spot because of the Olympics and stuff like that. And you don't want people that are not b-boys to be in control of it. You want people from your own culture to be in control of the culture and how it goes. And also the other part is what is b-boying now like to people? Is it a culture? Is it a sport? Is it a dance? Like what is it? And everybody's kind of got their own definition of it. I think it's a little bit of a mixture of everything. You can't have an athletic competition and claim it's not a sport to me. Like you can't be holding all these b-boy events, and like it's always weird for me to like see these judges who are like old school b-boys are like, oh, it's not a sport. This isn't a sport, but you're judging it as a sport. You're literally using sport rules. One person has to best the other person. You are putting prize money up. You're like having Red Bull sponsor it or Monster, all these big companies. McDonald's has sponsored events. Like you can't. It's tough for me to like see that and have you say there isn't a part of it is not a sport. Like you can't claim it's just a culture thing. But that's just me personally. But yeah, it's in a good spot, but it's in a tough spot too.
That's I never, the way you just said that just now about, what is it? Like, what do people consider it? Is it like, I never even thought of that type of question. Like, I just thought of it as breakdancing. I thought of it as a dancing, like that's an interesting way to see it. My final question about this, I don't know if you guys have any other questions about this, but is there a song, a person, and what influenced you to do this breakdancing?
My sister. Actually, my little baby sister, Julia, who owns a motorcycle company in Cambridge, Madhouse Motors.
Shout out to Madhouse Motors.
Yeah, she kills it. When she was younger, she took pictures. She was in Cambridge and like she was really good with photography, and she had all these like kind of connects in hip hop and like b-boying culture too. And what she did was like, she linked up what we call it hitters. Hitters are kind of like if you go into a city and you see like the tourist attraction and there's like a whole like breakdance circle, like, the guys are like, hey, clap your hands. We're going to do a front flip over like 5 people and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are hitters. They travel around, getting money, doing shows in like your like center of your city or whatever. And so they saw that she was kind of interested in the culture, and because she's like the cute girl, they like picked her and like, yo, like, why don't you link up with us? And so she was like, she connected up with them and she like got all these connections. And so I always was interested in breakdancing, but no one was dancing in my city. And the people that weren't really helping me try and learn it. So I kind of had to figure it out on my own a little bit. And so like she knew I was like interested in that kind of stuff. I found YouTube videos and like channels, and I was like trying to learn it from there. And she actually helped me figure out where there were practice spots. Because of her, I linked up with all these like different b-boys that like are really close friends of mine. Like if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have been involved in the scene the way I am now, where I have like crew. I'm like part of crews. I'm part of like some of my best friends are b-boys, and like I'm friends with some of like legendary b-boys, and I've been introduced to some of the people that actually like helped create breakdance culture. I shout outs to Float. Float is one of the most legendary breakdancers of all time. This dude was like in his 40s, 50s doing. He passed away a couple of years ago, but like even up to when he passed away, he was doing some of the most legendary power sets as like a 40, 50-year-old guy, like late in the game. Like he might have been 60, I don't know. But you will find videos of him from the 80s. Like you will see videos from like the 80s when it was like grainy and stuff of him up till like, the 2000s, 2018, 17. He was doing crazy stuff, and I got to be friends with him. I got to like interact and like, he's one of these guys like you would never think. That's like, like you've ever heard of Rocksteady Crew and those like legendary like kind of names in like breakdance culture? Like that's kind of like that. Yeah. So like it's like familiar because you don't even follow breakdance culture. He's kind of like one of those guys from that generation that like if you threw his name out in like a b-boy circle, like you threw that name out, everybody knows who that is instantly. And so like it was really cool that because of Julia, I got to be involved in that culture and I got to meet people like that who actually helped build what it is today.
All right, I got a question for you, Gabe.
Yeah.
Do you have a pump up song that gets you going, or like when you hear that song like playing, like you immediately go out there and like you say like, all right, I own this right now. I'm gonna go out there and like kill it. Is there a song that does that for you?
No, there really isn't. I'd say there's like a style of songs that I'm really into. Like I like classical b-boy songs, like the Mexican, which are like, break beats. But I really liked house music, and there's like styles of like b-boy songs that are very influenced by house music. So I'm like I'm into that. That'll get me really hyped. But honestly, as long as I can catch a beat, I'm really into it. Like especially because I got more influenced by other dance styles later on. So like I started learning different stuff and better controlling how I dance. So like if as long as I can catch that beat. One of the big things was when I was a kid, that was a problem is I have a learning disability with my hearing. And so it was really tough for me to dance, especially early on, because I couldn't hear the beats correctly. It's gotten a lot better since later on because I figured out tricks to like catch it. But it was really tough for me early on. And so like as long as I can catch that beat, music's different. Every music song's hard. Different, and sometimes beats just don't follow the same rhythm. They don't all follow 1, 2, 3, 4. They don't all follow 4 count. But if it follows a 4 count, or 8 count that I can like count it, I'm good. I'll go off. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I just another question. Forgive me if I
No,
if
don't
this is a
just say
stupid
that.
if this is a stupid question, but like
Ask me anything.
popping and locking.
Two different styles.
Well, is that considered break? Is that considered a form of that? Is it considered a form of dancing? Like,
it's definitely considered a form of dancing. Here's the thing: popping and locking are two different things.
I see how they know that.
Back in the 80s when things got commercialized, they like kind of mixed it together or like very confusing. Popping is a whole different style from locking. Locking is a lot of swinging of wrists and arms, a lot of shoulders. That's locking. Popping is like flexing of your muscles. And so it like you're literally popping your hands, your muscles, your whole body. So there's two different things. So in the tradition of hip hop, so hip hop is a culture. Hip hop is not a style of music. All right. So in the culture of hip hop, there are 4 elements to hip hop. There is MCing or rapping. There is DJing. There is graffiti, and there is b-boy and breakdancing. Those are the 4 elements of hip hop. I would say popping and locking got absorbed into it as an unofficial style. Like there are cousins. They're brothers to us. But as an official element of hip hop, it's not part of it. But those are definitely 100,000%. They are styles of dances.
Yeah, because the point, when I think of that, I think of it brings me to Michael Jackson. I was watching the because obviously I'm a big fan of him, and
You're a fan of Michael Jackson? I've never heard this before.
I haven't heard of that either.
I got the T-shirts. I got everything, man. Yeah, everything.
This is new information.
I remember watching I've watched Spike Lee's done a few documentaries about him. The Bad 25 about the Bad album, especially that one is. He brought out he went to the street. I think it was Harlem. He went to the streets in New York. He brought out all these dancing and break dancers. And they came on, and the point I'm trying to get, was that like a big impact? Like was seeing Michael Jackson and other singers as well and dancers like that, did that bring a lot of popularity breakdancing? Like another thing too, like the moonwalk, like he derived that off of the guy Jeffrey Daniels who did it on one of his shows, and he went to the streets and he went to to watch these all different types of people dancing and doing these breakdancing. Did that bring a lot of popularity to breakdancing? Seeing someone do that on the stage, something that maybe mainstream America never saw before, but everyone else is like, yeah, we do that all the time. Like, did that bring a lot of popularity to breakdancing?
Do you remember what year that was? Because
with the moonwalk.
No, well, bringing the breakdancers on.
He did it for the bad. He brought a lot of like the street dancers to the bad video, which was 87.
So 87. Okay. So yeah. So I think
moonwalk was about 84, 83.
I don't think he specifically brought the eyes on the culture. I think he's one of the people that helped do that, because that's also the timeline of when breakdancing got to the peak of popularity. It was just like commercialized at that point. Everybody had breakdancers in their videos. Everybody was trying to do like windmills and stuff. Like, Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like,
yeah, he was with he danced with Michael Jackson. He was in the couple of the commercials.
Yeah, so there is a video you can find on YouTube where he was doing a tutorial. Like, he had like a tutorial tape of trying to breakdance, quote unquote. That's like peak him, like when he was a kid. Like, this is like during the 80s. You can find that. And like going into the early 90s, there's like videos of like Vin Diesel and like Jean-Claude Van Damme doing like a battle. Vin Diesel was like, I think, a stuntman or something. I don't know if he was like an extra or some shit. But like, so I think all those artists at that time helped bring eyes. Like once they kind of figured it out, like different morning shows and stuff, they do some performances. People like, what's this breakdancing? And then like, the artists see that. One of the problems is artists see people like that as tools to use to promote themselves rather than promote the culture. I think Michael Jackson specifically tried to promote the culture because he's always been about the culture. Yeah, he's always been about Black culture, and just things rooted in like those kinds of things. So I wouldn't say him specifically, but artists, musicians, they see things like that and they see tools to use to promote themselves and make themselves look better. And so like it gets tough, and that's why breakdancing died out in America, because it just blew. It was everywhere. Everybody was trying to use it, and like breakdancers, we're trying to get paid. We're doing stuff. Dirty street kids trying to get paid, like their first time in their lives. They're like, the mainstream cared about who like these hood kids were and like giving them money, and so everybody's trying to like make that money before it like blows out, and that's what happened, and then eventually blew out for a while.
It's definitely I had a lot of fun talking about that. The best, I don't know if you want to share this, but you had a breakdancer at your wedding. He was oh no you had the best.
The whole group.
You had the best behind the DJing table that came out and decided to do a little breakdance.
Oh.
540.
on about 6 whiskeys.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no problem sharing that story. Or you have a problem sharing that story?
No, I want it to be shared. That's why I brought it up.
I would ever, because it was the funniest shit in my life.
Oh my God.
DJ comes out, tries to do a 540 and nearly face planks and knocks himself out.
That's crazy. Mike was like 6 gin and tonics deep. I was like 3 deep, and I was like, I literally like remember like watching him because I was behind the DJ booth. I was like, oh my God. I wasn't even worried about Mike. I was like, what the hell am I going to do with this DJ stuff now? I was like freaking
out. Yo, no, I loved it. Like everything about that was like perfect. Like
I'm standing behind the table. I'm so hyped up. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm doing this. I am doing this. I can't see straight. I'm doing this. I'm going out there, and I just did it. And I just remember falling on my knee, and I'm like, oh. And you pick me up and you go, bro, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm like, oh. I'm going to put this on auto mix. This is gonna go on for the next 5 minutes.
You're like one of my best friends. I don't care that you did a 540. I was just worried that you hurt yourself like really bad because you hit that floor hard. So I was like, I was legitimately. I don't even care. Like I know other people might be like, oh no, he's gonna mess up my weight. Like I didn't care about that because everybody was having fun. Freaking Keon, like. Freaking curb stomped my floor, wooden floor platform, and put a hole in it. Like
I remember that. That was crazy. Wow.
Yeah, Shaq like nearly like busted his head on the floor doing a backflip. Like it is inches away from the ground. I don't even know what flip. I think it was a gainer actually. He does a gainer and like you watch the video and there's like inches away from his head from the floor. So like I just like everything. Honestly, like. Everything was perfect. Like even the messes are perfect for me because they're like those are the kinds of things that like are like things that I enjoy. So it's not like, of course, as long as people came out safe and happy, that was a perfect wedding for me.
That was a great night. Some of it I don't remember, but it was a great night overall. Absolutely.
Is there video evidence of my 540?
I thought you had
it somewhere.
No, I don't have anything. I would love to see it.
I don't know. I'd have to ask. I don't know if anyone has anything, but yeah, no. Why would you want that?
I love that. I love laughing at myself. I love
it. To mixtape.
Into a mixtape.
Hey! Shout out to Sam. Sam, right? Your brother. Shout out to Sam for awesome guy, and he just kept feeding me.
Yo! You want to hear something about Sam right now? He's done with like nursing school. He's actually in the front lines of this whole Corona stuff in Boston. Yeah, so he's like I think working at 2 hospitals right now. Doing like he's like in the heart of that Corona stuff. And my godfather, like that whole family is like super legit. Like that's my godfather. Like his father's my godfather. That's why I always call Sam and Julia my brother and sister because we like grew up together. Like I've been around before they were born. They're my brother and sister. So if I ever refer to my little brother and my little sister, that's them. But so my godfather, he is part of like this art institution. He's like a big reason why I'm like really big into art too. Is he's part of this like the asylum in Somerville, and they are making those face shields for hospitals. They're like actually crafting like all the artists in there are working on that, and they like send them out to hospitals in Boston. So like they're all helping out, and they're helping Sam, keeping my godbrother safe, and keeping my brother safe. So yeah.
Wow. No, shout out to them. God bless them. Hope they stay safe. Wow. Just wow.
Oh,
I can't imagine being on the front lines of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's like we normally have Passover at my godfather's house, my godmother's house, but we couldn't have it because they're older and like because of Corona. So we
right, yeah.
Like this is the first time I think it's since I've been alive that I can remember where I couldn't go to Passover over there. So it's like it's really crazy to like not be able to do that with that family.
Definitely shout out to all the healthcare workers, people on the front, anyone working and helping save lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry,
that's the word.
That's
the word. That's the word. Essential workers. Yeah,
essential workers.
Shout out.
No,
my mom is
my
mom's a woman and infants.
Oh, she's what?
She works a woman and infants. She's testing people.
Oh wow!
It's like scary.
It's scary, but like, I'm glad she's out there doing it and helping people out.
And it's a little refreshing too when you hear people taking the precautions and listening, especially like you brought up like a lot of those kids are still partying. Yeah. It's like come on, it's like I mean you do you, but at the end of the day, I know a lot of people who are taking the precautions right now, and that's all we need is just to do the precautions. If you do these precautions, this can, it's not, I don't think it's going to go away, but it'll be better. It's just, if people just understood, took the precautions, it would help.
It's unfortunately, it's one of those things. It's the cat's out the bag. It's going to be there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, this is like one of the first times in our life where no one has any idea how to stop it. It's there's no vaccine. There's no one's immune to it that we're aware of yet. So it's like the first time in life like that. And unfortunately, it's also one of these things where it's like it's a secret ninja. You don't know who has it and who doesn't. Like you can literally have it and not even be aware of it and spread it to somebody and it like wrecks them. So for me, everybody in my household is at a risk. And if I didn't have to do Uber, I wouldn't do Uber. But unfortunately for me, I have asthma. It affects your respiratory system. Zoe is at risk because she doesn't do well with the flu. So we've kind of theorized that if she doesn't do well with the flu, she's not going to do well with this. So like the flu, she had every time she's been in America for like past 2 to 3 years. Every time she has gotten the flu in America, it has gotten worse and worse and worse. The last time she had the flu for about a week, 4 days to a week. Her peak was like 105, I want to say, temperature. Like she had that for like 2 to 3 days. It would go down, it would go back up, go down, go back up. So just based on that kind of thing, I don't think she would do too well hot with, because like the first thing you get is a temperature. That's why they always were confused at first, is that they thought it was like the flu, but it turns out it's not. But there are a couple of different things that are like if you were doing a Venn diagram, there are a couple of things that like they cross on, and one of them is temperature. And then my mom, who lives upstairs, she's older. She's in her, she's in her 60s, 60s, and so like she's on that, and she's had some medical problems in the past, and so like her immune system's questionable. So this whole household's like we are all at risk, and I even though me and Zoe are on the younger side, there's a good chance that we're not out of the woods from that kind of thing. So I try and be as safe as possible. I cover myself. I take gloves. Even though people make fun of people wearing gloves and taking hand sanitizer, what else am I going to do? I can't be throwing gloves every 5 seconds. So I take those hand sanitizers. I put it on the gloves too, protect myself. I wipe down everything. People talk about like, oh, he's got gloves, but he's still, playing with his phone. At least for me, I take the hand sanitizer so I can protect that phone. I take the wipes. I've got wipes.
Not everyone's doing that.
Yeah, I take those wipes. I wipe down my phone. I wipe down my wallet. I wipe down my keys. I do that stuff every two times a day at least. I'm wiping down like my handles. I'm making sure as much as I can to like clean myself. Then I get home at the end of the day. I'm washing my hands, really good. I'm washing my face. If I really feel like maybe the clothes I have that are kind of risky, I'll throw them in the hamper instead of anywhere else, and like I'll like wash them that day if I feel like there's like a shot of something happening. Yeah, no, I try and make sure I do all the precautions, and then like if I see somebody who's not, I definitely judge you. I judge a whole bunch of people. I've gone to too many like gas station and Target, Walmart bathrooms, and people are walking out washing their hands. I'm like, bro, what are you like, are you kidding me?
Especially when you do it when someone else is in there. Like come on.
Like they just be looking at you and they just walk away. Like, yo, are you serious right now? I'm like,
come on,
shit.
Come on, man. You do that when no one else is in there. If you're like that, I'm not.
You hear about like, fucking Florida is opening up. Florida is opening their beaches today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're allowing sports or something like that. I think it was Florida, right? It was pro sports or essential business or something.
So
it's stupid.
You just disconnect Florida from the U.S. at this point.
No, do you want to know the story? Do you want to know the story about this?
Hey.
All right. It's WWE.
Yeah.
It's considered an essential business. So here's the thing. All right. I'm really big into pro wrestling, so I follow all this stuff. I follow the culture. I follow I've for a while I was trying to be a pro wrestler. Maybe I might do that again at some point. Pro wrestling is like one of my biggest things. I love it. So I follow this stuff. So Linda McMahon, the wife of Vince McMahon, who owns WWE, she works for Trump.
Yep.
She's in the Trump campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Linda McMahon had donated I want to say 10 or 20 mil to the 2020 Trump campaign. That happened. The day before, Florida governor comes out and says, "Oh, WWE is an essential media business. A not sport became an essential business." The day after the Super PAC, donation to Trump by Linda McMahon.
Oh wow.
Here comes
It's all about the money, baby.
Yeah, that is what is going on. So right now they are a essential business, so they can run live events. No other sport is allowed to run live events. UFC has been trying to run a live event. They've been trying to run
on an island.
No, so here's this. All right, here's the other thing about that. I'm big into MMA. So Dana White originally was. There was rumors about a fight island. They were like Mortal Kombat, fight game of death, Enter the Dragon type shit. Fight island. So what it was is so all right. So that was the rumor. What it actually happened is they actually I think that was more of a backup plan. So they actually ended up getting Tachi Palace, which is a place that used to run like MMA events in California. And so he had contacted them and was going to run 249 there. That's where they were going to do Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. What had happened is, so UFC runs a streaming platform. They run all their pay-per-views are through the ESPN app. ESPN is run by Disney. Disney shut that down. It was originally a go. They had advertised it. They put out promotions. They put out a fight card. Everybody was excited. And the governor called Disney, and Disney called ESPN to shut it down. That's why they can't do it, because they shut it down. Now, Florida kind of opens up the door, the possibility that maybe they can do something there. Vince and Dana are best friends. Well, not best friends, but they are friends. They're compatriots in what they do in this kind of business. They used to be battling out because UFC, when it was getting big, looked at all the WWE stuff, because WWE was kind of like the closest thing to their like rival in that kind of frame. So they looked at pay-per-view numbers. They would look at what they were doing. UFC, their whole fight streaming platform is based on the WWE network. WWE came out with that platform first, and then UFC copied that. WWE has done a lot of different things first, and UFC has copied that. So maybe there's a possibility that we might get a UFC card based on what WWE's kind of opened the door for over in Florida. Yeah. Your combat sports conspiracy theory going on.
It's that's one thing that's made this tougher. And I'm not talking about the serious stuff. Serious stuff obviously is the toughest, but not having sports. As being selfish, just not having sports.
No, like distractions, there are no distractions, and that's what makes it, it's tough. Yeah. No one can.
The biggest thing right now is Sunday night for me is the Michael Jordan documentary. I am so pumped. I am so pumped to watch that.
What time is that on, by the way?
That's the excitement right now.
I think that's great. For me right now, it's just pro wrestling in general because it hasn't stopped.
That's true.
Yeah, for me, AEW, which is another pro wrestling company, they've been doing taped shows. They started taping their shows a while back before Florida shut it down, and now I think this might open the door for more live shows. And then WWE never really stopped. They ran WrestleMania in an empty arena. And I've been watching some MMA stuff. Like the last UFC card they ran was in an empty arena, so that I watched that. And then around the world, like MMA is big around the world, so like Russia has empty arena MMA. So I've watched some stuff there. It's crazy. I watched a dude get knocked out in an empty arena. It's scary. Dude got cracked with a head kick. It sounds so scary to hear it in an empty arena. It's just
echoes.
Yeah, he got legitimately knocked out. Yeah, so that's crazy. I think what I'm excited about for the Michael Jordan documentary is the fact that people are going to find out how much of a scumbag he really is in real life.
Yeah. He said that. He said he's
Yo.
like, people are gonna think I'm a horrible guy after watching this.
No, like people don't know. There's some like questionable stuff that has gone on in his life. Like we all know about the, like, because we're into sports, we all know about the gambling stuff, and we all know about like a lot of stuff. Like I don't know if they're ever gonna talk about it, but like why he went to baseball is possibility. Is like, you know, rumor is that it's related to that gambling stuff. He had debts to pay. You know, like, so I wonder if they're gonna.
Yeah, they somewhat went over it in the that old, I don't know how long it must have been 5-6 years now, that 30 for 30. I don't know if you saw that a few years ago.
But I do remember
they reviewed some of it because of his father got killed, and I think something somewhere said that it was over the gambling. It was
I've heard that rumor. I did hear that rumor. I didn't know they talked about it in 30 for 30, but I definitely did hear about that.
Yeah. Well. That's.
Oh, also, Vince McMahon's going to be part of like Trump's campaign in some aspect too. So that's also because, like, a bunch of the sports heads. It's funny because like I grew up always thinking about like WWE as a sport. I understand why it's not a sport. I understand it's a predetermined event. Like, you know the ending. Like, they know the ending. We don't know the ending.
I think all the physical stuff though should make it a sport.
Yeah.
So I think it's a sport. I know it's predetermined. I think it's a sport.
It's an athletic endeavor, you know.
Yes, definitely. Yes,
these people's bodies are taking a beating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, definitely, and people die from it. But like on that point, so Trump has all the heads of all the major sports as part of like some kind of like they're involved with Trump's like cabinet in some way. I forget what it is. I don't have the article in front of me, but Vince McMahon is part of that. So him and his wife now work for Trump technically. And if you ever look at the 2016 Trump campaign, a lot of what Trump does is very WWE manager-esque. You know, like everything, like that's why like all the pro wrestling fans were laughing our asses off. Like we knew there was a good shot he was gonna win just because he handled it like a WWE manager. Like how he would like, you know, like kind of like go into like all his like opponents and debates. He was just like rashing on them. He would like point out all these weaknesses. He made chants out of everybody's weaknesses. He would come up with catchphrases. He literally worked for WWE for like a whole storyline where he got Stone Cold Stunnered. Like it is the greatest thing. Like that's why I'm like, none of this shocks me. Like, him winning doesn't shock me. I can't even be mad about it because I like saw it a mile away. I'm like, you know, like no one, like other people didn't see it, but I saw it as a fan because like he literally did everything that you do as a WWE character to get yourself over and popular with people. I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, him winning, about right.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, no.
Hey, quick question. Yeah. Quick question. Politics aside, do you guys think that Trump spray tans every time he goes out for like a press conference or right before? I think he uses like spray tanning to get that thing like full.
Not right.
I think that he might.
No.
Maybe a little bit.
I think
absolutely.
I think he goes to the tanning booth, like, you know, the start of the week, but not right
it's
before.
Like he does it himself.
Yeah, he paints it on.
No, he doesn't do it himself. Here's why he doesn't do it himself. Because you got to be meticulous. Because you got that hairpiece line. You got to be careful about that hairpiece line.
You know what you do? You know what he probably does is he puts like a shower cap on or whatever, and then like you know how like in
that's cute. That's
like,
adorable. You really think that's real hair?
Yeah, I don't know.
Shower cap on.
He puts a shower cap on, and then he like runs through, and like people like spray him, you know, and he's good to go.
Yo, you know what it is? It's probably like, you ever seen that stupid Friends episode? I don't watch Friends. It's always at my part-time job. So they have this episode where like Ross goes into a spray tan booth.
Better.
Yes, it is. It's the original. So never doubt that. Never disagree with that.
You got that right. I've been streaming that on Hulu. I love that show.
Yeah, no, like it's the greatest like of the early '90s. It's one of the greatest.
Point aside. The best female actor in that was Maxine. Oh, she adds so much to that show.
So I originally thought Maxine was, and then I was listening to someone, I think it was like Jesus and Meryl talking about it, and I was really considering it. Like Maxine, she was kind of bitchy. She's like
She
that.
was.
She was a boss, but she was a little too much of a boss. So I'm like,
she was funny though.
like she comes in with her briefcase, like, I beat all these cases.
Grabs the crackers.
Like, she's like stunting on people. Like, all right, calm down.
Yeah.
Like I've been reconsidering my like living singles tiering list of like all of them. I might Queen Latifah might be on my top spot or second to top spot. Yeah.
Kyle's my favorite.
Kyle is easily my favorite. Kyle, this deep ass voice.
How does? Oh man.
He like.
Are you guys still talking about Friends?
No, it's the original Friends.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't think Keith's ever seen Living Singles.
I haven't. But something stupid that might be relatable, and it is going to be stupid because Friends. I've never seen it, obviously, but I do hear about that pivot episode all the time about like getting that couch up the stairs and trying to get it into like their apartment, and then they're like shouting at each other like pivot. He's like, I am pivoting. You pivot.
So I've watched every single episode of Friends because my job, they got DVDs of Friends, and like when I'm sitting back there, I didn't really have good Wi-Fi back there, so I couldn't use my phone really well. So my job, everybody I got like a whole bunch of like white girls in my job, which is fine. And so like they'd be in the back room like watching Friends, and it's on. So I've watched every single episode, and I don't like Friends. I don't like the show. They're like two black people ever in that show, and like that was a big reason my mom wouldn't let me watch it originally. The reason why I didn't watch it the first run is because my mom told me she wouldn't let me watch it because there were like no black people on that show. So like. Yeah, they have like two black girlfriends, and that's about
Living Single did a good job of making sure it was everything in there.
Yeah, and like
not in the main cast, but in just in general, like it was always.
There's a mix. You have to. It's New York. How are there no minorities? It's in New York. That's like the. I don't know if you ever saw what's that reality show MTV used to do? No.
My Crib.
Jersey Shore.
No, where they all live together.
Hit My Crib.
Jersey Shore.
No, not that one. It's the original MTV reality show where they all live together.
Yo, MTV Raps.
I'm gonna stab you.
Big Brother.
I don't know. It's not Big Brother. I have no clue. I don't know.
I don't know what it is either.
Beats
I'm
me.
just throwing stuff out there, hoping something sticks.
Give me 1 second. The Real World. All right, The Real World.
Okay.
All right, Real World New York had like two black people the whole show. It's based in New York. I don't even know how you edit all the black people in the background out. But Living Singles, what I think made it really good is one, it's people, all types of people worked for them. Like especially Queen Latifah had all types of people working for her. But the other thing was, I feel like that show's way more relatable in how the characters are portrayed. They had everybody on kind of every different level of like business, like in working. They had like, Kyle was like in the business area. You had Queen Latifah who ran a newspaper, but her newspaper had all types of people on different levels that you could relate to. Maxine might be like, you might not relate to her too much because she was a lawyer, in like New York. But then you have, the hoity-toity character. You also had, I forget Kyle's best friend, but he was kind of like the
Overton. You had Overton.
Overton was the plumber, mechanic. You can relate to that.
He was the Keith.
Yeah. You can relate to everybody on that show on a different level. I can't relate to Friends. I can't you had somebody who's like a chef. You had somebody who works in an ad agency. You had I think the closest person you could relate to was
Joey.
Not Chandler. Yeah, Joey. Just because he was an up and coming messy actor. He wasn't even actor. I don't think at the start of the show. He ends up in the Super Bowl. He's the closest, I think, the relatable. Like Ross is an archaeologist professor. I think what's her name? Jennifer Aniston was just like a rich girl who's trying to like make it without daddy's money, I think was her like kind of thing. Like she worked at like she worked at like and like lived in this like crazy apartment loft thing that you had like a sky roof in New York. Like no one can relate to this damn show. No one got an apartment like that. But yeah, I think everybody just everybody could relate to living single. It doesn't matter what race you are. I think it's just a better show because of that.
The last thing I'll say about that show is like the one thing I noticed that I really didn't notice a lot in other shows is like they could have a funny scene and like they'll cut to one of the other cast members just dying laughing. Literally, not edit it out. And then you could also see them in the back, like Queen Latifah would be dying laughing in the back. It's like they don't even cut that out. Like like some instances.
I haven't gone back to watch it in a while, but
I've been watching it recently on Hulu. I love it.
Oh wow, I haven't noticed that. Yo, that's so funny.
I love it. Well, anyway, before we just go into KobraKawaii and just have you talk about that, you guys got any other questions you'd like to get into?
Let's get right into it. I'm ready to ask some clothing questions, man. How about you, Keith?
Yeah, man. What is KobraKawaii?
KobraKawaii is my kind of like Japanese anime inspired clothing line. So kind of like the gist of it is we're like anime inspired streetwear, where we took commonly said phrases. We didn't create these phrases. Let me put that out there. We didn't create any of these phrases for the most part. There might be like one or two things I might have like, picked up on my own. But like in general, it's these phrases that have been existing in like anime culture, like the anime convention scene and like online. And we were like the first ones to really stick them on a t-shirt back in 2014. That was like high quality. That wasn't like a shitty like iron-on print. We like really did a high quality thing. And so what it was is like around 2014, my friend Chris Johnson actually he was like the starter. It was kind of like his creation. We all worked at me and him and our buddy Brian. We worked at a video game warehouse back in the day, and GU. And so what we did is we all wanted to do something together. Me and Chris had tried to do a couple of different things. We tried to do vlogging and like YouTube videos really early on back in the day. Mm-hmm. We would go to conventions doing interviews. We have one viral video from that that's floating around top 10 do's and don'ts of anime conventions. And so we individually, we kind of separately always wanted to do t-shirt designs and something like that in like clothing. And he was like kind of like the first one of our group to kind of figure it out, how to do it. And so, he kind of like showed me a design, and it was kawaii as fuck, which is kawaii means cute. Yep. So it basically says cute as fuck. And so he like stuck it on a shirt, and we put it online. People like really, oh, wow, that's crazy. And then we went to a convention called MagFest, and we gave them out for free to a few of our friends to kind of promote, and they blew up at MagFest. And so we're like, oh, okay, all right. And then what we did is after MagFest, I think at that point I made a Facebook for it, KobraKawaii at that point. He actually came up with the name KobraKawaii because he knew I loved the Karate Kid. Because I think he's always had in mind that we're going to do this kind of thing together. It wasn't like he was going to just do it on his own. I think he had in mind, and from the very beginning, that we were going to kind of do this thing together. So it was kind of like his brainchild, but we were all influencing that because we're best friends. And so what he did is, so the bad guys in Karate Kid are Kobra Kai. So he did KobraKawaii, Cobra with a K. And then kawaii is very anime, Japanese, English English mixture kind of phrasing, and so it was like kind of like a pun but not a pun at the same time too. So it kind of like went into what we do and how we take phrases and mix puns, and so made a website out of it. And so we didn't make the company yet. I made the Facebook out of that, and so and then me and him were the moderators of that Facebook, and so he put out 2 shirts. He put out I forget what the first one was, but the one that got us big was Kawaii in the streets, senpai in the sheets. So which is kind of like, it's like this kind of phrase that's existed in rap songs where it's like, you know, you're a lady in the streets, but a freak in the sheets.
Bed. That's right,
yes. Baby. Yeah.
It's the anime culture kind of like took those kinds of phrases and they made it kind of anime, and so it, you know, kawaii in the streets, so you're cute in the streets, and senpai in the streets. Senpai in Japanese culture is kind of like the older person, the person you look up to. You're maybe someone who's a grade above you, or maybe a boss, or even like somebody who's like you work with, but because they're in a higher status, they're your senpai. You're the kohai. Kohais are the people under you that you're like, you know, the younger person or the person down a little bit down on the ladder. And so basically, senpai means you're you know, I'm gonna teach you. I'm the boss right now. So you know, that's in the sheets. So he puts that shirt out. We were still working together at that time at the warehouse. Our phones blew the fuck up. Our phones were buzzing. We at that point we had to at a certain point in the day we had to shut our phones off or like deactivate the notifications because within oh no,
Mike's gone. Keep going.
Listen, yeah.
Yeah. So within a 24-hour period, we had gotten viewed like 500,000 times, and the shirt had gotten shared on Facebook like 100,000 times. Something crazy. Yeah, like we legitimately made a viral thing without trying to go viral.
That's nuts. I remember back in the day when we actually used to work together. I forget what year it was, maybe 2015 or something like that. I actually bought a shirt from you. From your website. It was pretty sick. It was like that freezer one or whatever that says like, this isn't even my final form. That was a sick shirt. I unfortunately grew out of it. I've gained maybe like a good at least 5 to 10 pounds since then, so I don't fit in it anymore. But,
but if you want to buy another one, I got discount codes for you.
Awesome. I'll definitely be using those. I need to fit into some more shorts that are my size now. But yeah, it was a dope shirt. My question for you was, I know that you worked in a warehouse, but like what process do you use, or do you use like a third party person to make these shirts? Like you said, like crappier shirts are like ironed on, but yours are obviously more high quality. I can attest to that because I've worn one. So like, what goes into like making those like shirts or hats or whatever, like what you use?
So originally we just did shirts, and we actually screen printed our shirts originally. But we actually, in the beginning, we blew up so hard. We weren't even going to convention yet. We had to hey, welcome back.
Welcome back, baby.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Sorry, I had to do a duty. I had to
break myself. I did 2 of them earlier.
I'm sorry. It's just a constant flowing thing, Gabe, you know?
Yeah. I bet it's a constant flow with your stomach.
Every hour. Yeah.
Coffee, man. It goes right through.
Yeah. So
crack out on coffee.
Yeah. Keith was asking me kind of like what our process was for KobraKawaii in terms of shirts and quality and stuff. So I was just about to say is early on we screen printed all our shirts. It would be like me, Chris, Brian, Amanda, and Chris's sister, and so we would, you know, stay up late doing iron, like screen printing the shirts. I couldn't do it a lot of times because I had dance practice on Fridays, and so it was like really on them. I was more the creative force anyways, like trying to work on shirts. But like without them, we wouldn't have had a company. Without what they did, they like, sacrificed those Friday, Saturday nights to kind of do that thing. It would be like an all-night process. And so it got really crazy to the point where we just had too many orders coming in. And so Chris found this like third-party service, which is like a direct-to-print service. So direct-to-garment is what the DG is kind of like the term. And so what that means is when, in general, when you go to like a convention or something, somebody stockpiles like 50, 100 shirts. And so what happens sometimes is you don't always sell out those shirts. And so you got this like excess shirts that you sometimes the design's not super hot, or maybe it was hot for a time, but now it's not. And now you can't get rid of those shirts. And so with direct to garment is literally you order the shirt on the website, that shirt is made directly for you. There is no excess. It is made specifically because you ordered that shirt. And you found this third party service that kind of did that for us. And so we started doing that. And they're screen printed and digital printed, and that's where like a lot of the hats.
You're not ordering bulk.
Unless I go to a convention.
What you're saying?
I don't order in bulk in general. They order off my website, and they directly ship from that website. When I order bulk is the only time I order bulk is when I go to a convention. Because I travel around, and so like you get a new shirt in and like a design, and like I kind of gauge it off of like right now I'm solo right now. Everybody's kind of left the company. Everybody does their own thing. Chris left because he wanted to do more creative stuff. Brian and Amanda are married, and they now have a kid who's really super cute. And so they kind of do their own thing, adulting. And then Chris's sister left. She's doing her own thing, baking, I think, and like CrossFit. So I'm on my own. And so like when I go to a convention, what I kind of do is I look at trends that's going on in anime. One, I look at trends of what could I stick on a shirt in terms of phrasing and what's hot, what's like kind of new. And so I do that, but also what's like hot anime. What are people really into? And so like sometimes I do a shirt, and it's almost a little bit of an experiment. Like I might not get as many likes online. And sometimes I get a shirt design and I'll get tons of likes. And so I know instantly I want to make shirts, like a bunch of shirts if like there are a lot of likes for that idea. But then for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which was this it's this anime that's been around for a while, like the comic. And
don't worry.
What's up?
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Some of it.
So
I see it here and there.
For a long time. But it kind of like got redone as an anime, and like it became really popular. And so I made a shirt design, and I liked the design personally, but I didn't know what people were gonna think when I made it. So I don't even think I printed a lot of shirts for it. Sold out. Every single time I've gone to a convention, it has been our top 2 sellers. Sells out almost every single time. It's crazy. Wow. It's that, and like there's like kind of like this phrase that's been floating around. So you have Netflix and chill.
Yep.
So, there's like the anime version is hentai with senpai, and so I made for that, and that sells out. Like every single time that sells out. It's like one of our top shirts. So I've been using that. It helps out that I can use that direct to garment service to buy the bulk, or I'll go to my friends, Derek, who I talked about earlier, kind of like when we did the little fight club. His dad actually has a screen printing company. His dad, whenever the Patriots won, the AFC East, and like, they've got their championship shirts from that.
Right,
His dad's company actually did those.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, so I would go to them. So I knew they were like top tier, and they were really cool. What's really cool about them is there's another guy there that works there. He's ADHD as shit. He is 60 years old, but he's been around since the early days of like Photoshop 1 and shit. Doing like his company's been around since like the early 90s, maybe the late 80s, where they were like doing screen printing, and so like when I go there, I don't even go. I think I go there more for him to tell me about history and like the process of screen printing than to actually get something done. Because like his like partner is like ADHD is all hell, and he just tells me all these stories, and it's like really cool to like hear like the processing, and like he'll tell me, break down the history of like, oh well, now this is what we do, but back in the day this is what we had to do, and like with our Photoshop 1 and blah blah blah. I'm like, what? And it's like it's dope, but like yeah, between that and there we go.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Between that and between that and the direct garment company, like I kind of do a mixture of both. And the direct garment company makes it really easy because I can just come up with a design, and I don't have to print it to like know to sell it. Like I don't need to like have the bulk printed. I can just make a design, put it on the website, and like if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, then I can just delete it if it's not selling. And so it's like makes it super easy for me to like. It makes it easy for me to experiment with stuff. But obviously, like a service like that, they charge me for like a portion of what they sell, but they also they are the host for my website. So the website, people buy it from the website, and they also ship it out for me, so I don't have to ship out shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's good and bad. So one of the parts is bad is like they still get a cut of things. They make it easy for me, but they get a cut. The other thing is you can only do so much with the stuff they already have on their website. So other things I want to do, I can't go out of the box of. Like stickers. I make stickers, and so those stickers, when I sell them, they're only sold at conventions. They're con exclusives because I can't sell them on the website unless I like have them like held in bulk at their like warehouse, but they charge you a cost every day. Hi, Miss Rossi.
Hi, Miss Rossi.
Say hi.
There she is.
You can come on.
Hi, Miss Rossi.
Hi, how are you?
I thought you were on your podcast.
This is the podcast.
Yeah, I'm the podcast.
We're live right now.
That's awesome.
Oh, that was the best reaction ever. Yes, I love your sister.
Oh, this is
Longest
going on
time,
YouTube.
I didn't think your sister liked me.
Oh my God, Gabe, this has been a blast, man.
Yo, can I ask you a question? And it may be a controversial one.
Go for it. Far away.
Rossi, what happened with your birthday?
With what?
I thought we had a tradition going on for a while.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a surprise. I had no clue.
Oh, is that what happened?
I swear to God. I
I saw
swear to
pictures.
God.
I was like, I've gone to his birthday for 2 years.
You can ask him. They know more about it than I do. I had no clue. I came home and they were in my driveway.
Basically, what happened is, Gabe, is that Mike's sister set the whole thing up, and it was, I forget if it was like a week and a half or like a week before. I think it was a week and a half before his actual birthday, and she had texted me and Louie as well. And she set the whole thing up. She booked a hotel up in Boston. I forget what it was, across the street from a hospital. I forget what hospital it was at the time. But all that really happened. What's that?
Was it across the street from a hospital?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
What? I didn't
It's
know
just
that.
a regular hotel. It wasn't like, it's not the casino, right?
No, it was a regular hotel. I forgot what the name of the hotel was. Marriott, Courtyard by the Marriott.
Okay,
Marriott,
yeah.
It was one of those, But
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was across the street from a hospital. So we actually parked in the hospital. But I mean, it was a crazy time because that literally happened. We did all that literally like a week or a week and a half, like right after like everything got shut down, or a week before I should say, before everything got shut down. So it was crazy. It was nuts.
Oh, you lucked out then, yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah, but
Your birthday was like a week later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you.
My birthday was the night before the NBA shut down.
Yeah, so you really lucked out.
Yeah, I had no clue.
You made it up there, but yeah, we all when all that Corona stuff was all of us were in a club in a hotel together. It was like 8 people like in a hotel room and we were in a club like literally like that weekend. It was crazy.
2 years in a row. Yeah. 2 years in a row. You drove from Mass to stinking Connecticut.
Yeah,
and finally, I get a surprise in your home in like 20 minutes from you. And you weren't even told. Like, come on, man.
What's funny about your birthday is the first time. So you remember how I was late for your birthday the first time? It's because my manager, my manager when she was closing our store, for whatever reason she was having problems closing the store. And I told her, like, I need to leave. Like, I'm done. Like, why are you making me stay? And I think she needed, like, a certain number of people. Or I don't know if it was, like, a certain number of people or just the fact that, like, I think I was the only guy. And so, like, maybe, it's just safer. Because, like, it's 10 o'clock, we close. Right. And so, like, I work with a bunch of women at the Gap. So I think maybe partially that was a reason why. I can't remember if I was, like, the last person there or what. But she took till 10, almost like 10:30, almost maybe 11, that it took her to close the store. And so I was like, I should have been out at 10. Like, I had my clothes in the car to go to this club. And so, obviously I did make it. I still got into the club and stuff. So because of that, I changed my schedule so I would never have that ever happen to me again. So I do not close at the Gap. And it's
ever
purely
again
because
around that time. That's crazy.
I owe you like.
No, you don't owe me shit.
I feel bad.
Gabe, if you also remember, and Louis, too, because literally, Mike, I love you, but the day that your birthday falls, it sucks because we usually go out.
Daylight savings time.
Yeah, it's always daylight savings.
It's daylight savings time, and it's in the middle of winter.
I know, it sucks. Oh my god! We literally we're out dancing or whatever, doing whatever, like having a good time, and then we look down at our watch, and it's like time to go.
It's over.
What the hell? What the hell is this?
It's not even just that. It's not even just that. So you have the club. It closes at what, 2:30, something like that. So it closes, and then you're like, you leave. You're like, oh, do I want to go eat? Hey, we want to hang out. You chill around. You're fucking around for like a good half an hour, almost 3. And you're like, oh yeah, maybe we go eat. Maybe we go like leave for home, and then you look at the watch.
It's 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, like, oh no!
Oh, come on, man.
Swallow.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a bad day for them.
Terrible.
But it was a good time this year?
It was fun. It was a surprise. It was fun.
Awesome.
It really was.
No, like, I was originally like, I didn't know what the situation was, so I saw the pictures. I'm like, oh no, did I piss him off? Am I out of the club?
I had no control.
You were forever in the club. You were in the club for like 5-6 years. You were a lifetime member.
I think that was your birthday because everything started shutting down. I never got to ask you about that. So I never we never had our Thursday Unos. So I had that in my head, like, oh no, I don't think I pissed him off or anything. I don't think I was outcast.
Yeah, he had no clue. And it was with a download too, because like I said, Mike's sister put it all together, so it was all like hush hush, No,
I understand. No, like I get it. Like even if he was like, no, I was just like, I just wanted these couple of guys. I would not have been
in that. Of course, you would be in that group.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
I didn't know. I just like saw the pictures and I was curious about that.
Yeah, it would have been a blast if you would have been there, Gabe. But I will tell you, it would have been cramped in that hotel room. Mike was already sleeping on the floor. It was nuts in there.
That birthday boy was sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, dude.
I had pretty good sleep too.
That's awesome.
Pretty good sleep. Hey, when we get back to normal, we're coming up to Boston. We're gonna go out. Like White Horse.
Yeah.
Hopefully with a good DJ.
Yeah, with a good DJ. That's right.
hopefully my birthday, like in September, will be somewhat normal, so we can go do stuff.
Yeah. My birthday's in June. I don't even know if we'll be out of the woods by that. Probably not.
Louis is September 13th.
Is it?
Oh, close.
12. My
Oh,
dad's
see, I knew it, man.
the day after my dad's, Louis.
I know, Matt. I know Trump's trying to open things up in May, like as phase 1, but that's why certain states are like opening up early. But I know Mass is going to be extending we're not opening up yet. We're probably not going to be opening up till like at least September, maybe August. But I think September is probably more likely when we start to really open up.
Yep, we'll have to do something. And we'll have like 10 birthday parties at once. We'll have mine, Louis will have yours, Gabe will have yours. Will this be like everyone's birthday all in one day?
Super birthday.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Well, on that note, guys, any final thoughts, Louis and Keith?
Yeah, I'll shoot one of my questions. I think you probably already answered this, but feel free to elaborate. Where do you keep finding inspiration to design new clothes?
Just staying within the culture. You like a bunch of things, like how I like kind of play around with like layouts and like design is my inspiration. But why I'm part of the culture is what's going on in anime. What's the hot anime? I try and play around, make sure I pay attention to what's big for, people to like, they're talking about, like My Hero Academia is really big. Paying attention to what comes over to America. So anything on Toonami that makes it to Toonami is going to automatically be hotter because Toonami is a big cable network, Cartoon Network everybody has. And so what ends up on the Toonami block of anime shows is what you're going to see at conventions. They only pick up they generally only pick up the really big animes that are really big. So I pay attention to that. So I make sure it's around that. I pay attention to the forums a little bit. I'm a little aged out on like a lot of the forums, but my friends are all still in the culture. I'm still in the culture. So I'm like going to conventions all the time anyways. So I still pay attention to stuff like that. But I also, when I go to conventions, I look at what everybody else is doing, and I try not to do what they're doing.
Right.
One of the big things was, like I told you, is like we were one of the first guys to like stick shirts on, make these shirts high quality. Is one of the things we learned really early on is we were on the right track because we got bootlegs. People bootlegged our shirts, and so like if you take Kawaii as Fuck or Kawaii in the Streets, Senpai in the Sheets, you will find at least 25 to 50 bootlegs of our exact design. They didn't change the format. They didn't change the font. They are clearly bootlegs of our shirts. And so what I try and do is make sure that we aren't doing the same shit all the time. I'm playing around with the formats. I'm playing around with like designs. And I take pictures of like logos. I take pictures one of the conventions I end up going to is PAX. PAX is like the biggest video game convention in the East Coast. And so when I go to PAX, and you got all these different like logos for video games that are coming out. They're not in the anime world, but I pay attention to how they package things and designs, and I get inspiration on like maybe I wanna, instead of like having everything be the impact font and it's like in a block format, I'll play around with like different colors and designs based on what I see around me and like look for inspirations there. I look for inspirations in different designs of other shirts that have nothing to do with anime. I pay attention to design online and like around the city and like different things inspire me. Like it's not even just like graphic design or logos that inspire me. I look at all different types of stuff and clothing and just like in the city. And I take pictures of anything that looks like that might inspire me to play around with something, and I'll kind of go into a Photoshop or Illustrator and just play around with like how things lay out. And sometimes I get happy accidents. This logo right here, that's a happy accident.
That's cool. It's a bowl of ramen. That's what it reminds me.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I was just like, when everybody was still together, we were kind of like, I don't know, I forget why we did it. I think we were like, had the possibility of working for a big company. They were looking for like clean designs and logos. So I think we just kind of made a different logo than we originally had. And so that was like the accident that ended up kind of fitting our format of like anime culture and bowls of ramen. Everybody eats ramen within the anime. So that was the kind of happy accident. So I play around with like my Photoshop and get happy accidents sometimes. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Gabe. I got one last question for you. Maybe a little bit controversial for everyone here on the show, but not really. Not really.
You always like to stir it up.
Top 3 animes for you, for your personal. For my reference. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, no. You go.
I was just gonna say, for personal reference, mine. I like old school stuff, so it's like Dragon Ball Z #1, Dragon Ball Z / Super is 1, Bleach is 2, and Naruto is 3. Shippuden, like all that stuff, is like.
All right. I would say Sailor Moon's my #1 top anime. Sailor Moon was like one of the first animes I ever saw, even before Dragon Ball Z. Mm-hmm. Sailor Moon was like, popping for a while. So it influenced a lot of different things of me when I was a kid, especially because I was like a little more sensitive. So I like really took to like a bunch of different themes, and like I had a lot of friends that were girls when I was younger. So we were all into Sailor Moon. So that was a big influence. Especially, it's funny because like, you know how I have my Dragon Ball Z sleeve on my left arm. My plan is to have a Sailor Moon sleeve on my right arm at some point.
So yeah, Broly, Sailor Moon, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So obviously Dragon Ball Z is #2. I'd almost put them at a tie, but I'm gonna, just for sake of it, I'm gonna say #2 is Dragon Ball Z. Obviously that's like a huge influence on like, well, you guys know that like Dragon Ball Z is a huge influence. My birthday party, my 35th birthday was a Dragon Ball Z themed birthday. We had like everything.
Yeah, like, I don't remember that night.
You really have there's a Dragon Ball back there.
Yeah, so got me a Dragon Ball Z rug, and it lights up. It's like a 4-star ball, like that I put it on my floor. So I have like Dragon Ball Z tattoos. I have like a whole bunch of Dragon Ball Z tattoos. Which I'm gonna get a complete sleeve of Dragon Ball Z at some point. So it's like the theme, and like it's now obviously like if you try to watch it now after watching all the animes, it's kind of hard to watch. But for me, when it was new, it was doing a lot of different things for me, and it was always about like keep pushing, keep training harder, whenever get beat up, and you come back stronger. It's like whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, literally, in that show.
Yeah. That show actually, that whole series or whatever actually got me into martial arts in the first place, because I remember like watching it on like Cartoon Network or whatever when I was like 9 years old, and I didn't realize what was going on or whatever, especially because I like started watching it in like the Cell Saga or whatever, but like that definitely had a big impact on me when I was a kid, and actually, like I said, made me want to like do martial arts later on.
Yeah, like
so that's how I met you guys.
Yeah,
that's how this all came together.
Yeah, because me and you, when we worked at the, I wasn't really friends with anybody at the North Smithfield. Like, I think Miss Force was like the closest I could be friendly with, just because we were pretty close in age. And then like everybody else was a kid. I knew Dylan. And then, like, you had the kids, but I have like one of those weird personalities where I can just kind of like be friends with anybody.
Right.
But I didn't really like everything was really weird there for me. Like, it was like such a weird alien culture because everybody's polite, and that's weird to me. Like, even though it's like it's forced politeness, I was very weirded out by that stuff.
Yeah. So it's not real life.
Yeah. No one, they're not like Mr. and Mrs. all the time in real life. So it was very weird. Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am. Like like I get it. You can be polite, but it's just like overly polite, and so I felt very. And I'm from Massachusetts. We're not polite. We are like overly sarcastic assholes. So everything about that is. And I came from like a kind of like sarcastic teacher, so like he's not like that way. So everything was really weird. So it was cool that you were really big into anime too, and so like. And at the time, you were flipping, and that was a big portion of like why I really kind of like leaned towards you because I don't. And people may not know he used to flip, and I really wanted to keep flipping because he is the only kid that I ever white kid that I ever saw that jumped that high, and like he would like throw out random front flips in class, and he stopped doing it.
He
killed me.
My knees and my ankles, they couldn't handle it because you know how I did it. I always would land like an elephant, and after doing that for so long, I mean, I stopped before I got any kind of like pain or whatever. I don't have any pain in my knees or like my ankles or anything because those things took the hardest hit when I landed. But I still cracked. Those things, my ankles up to my knees cracked more than anything like you would believe. You would think I don't know, like they were like I was walking around with like a bag of pretzels or something like that. They pop in my knee and they crack so much.
And I always knew you were like you landed hard. It's because you would set weird, and so you jump high, but then you don't rotate fast. And so what happened is you would jump high, and then your rotation would be like as coming down, and so all your force is going down. But at the time, I was like, my head is like, oh, I can work with this. We can like learn the trick together and stuff like that. And he can learn all these tricks that I can't even do because he jumps really high. And so that was like a big reason why I like became friends with you. And then because of that, like when we went to the kind of office meetings, aka everybody's got to get trained because no one does the damn same thing in any of the schools.
That's true. We had some legendary meetings in there.
Yeah. So like because of that, I became friends with Rossi because originally I didn't think Rossi liked me, and then you guys invited me to Uno's and realized, oh yeah, you guys are like. Yeah, you're like way more like me than any of the people that are actually my age, and that's cool.
No, we're just a bunch of dorks, that's all.
Yeah. But yeah, so my 3 animes are Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, and I think I would say my third one is it's tough to like put top 3 animes because I have a few that really influenced how I kind of lived my life, but I would say the third one is Yu Yu Hakusho. It's kind of like the underdog anime. It was like it's popular, but it wasn't popular, and big reasons because Cartoon Network kept moving at time slot, so it was hard to follow. But it was a really dope one that like kind of like influenced how I like look at different types of anime and stuff. By the way, Bleach is coming back,
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're coming out.
Are they rebooting it, like doing the whole series over, or are they is it gonna be like a continuation?
So is Tide Pods.
Yes. No, it's so they're going to do the final arc. It's the 1,000-Year War, which is the final storyline. And and they're also coming out with a spin-off series, which is it's called the Burn the Witch or something like that. Which is a spin-off of the Bleach world. Yeah. 2021.
That's really cool. I'll have to look into that definitely for sure.
Yeah. There's a one-shot manga of Burn the Witch online that you can that's free on the Viz website, Viz Manga, Viz Meta or whatever.
Oh, that's cool. All right, I'll definitely look into that at some point soon. But yeah, cool. I didn't know that because like Bleach for me was like it's like it came out around the same time I believe as like the same time frame I should say as like Dragon Ball Z. I know that it was developed in the 80s originally or whatever. It came out here in the 90s, and that was the same time as like Bleach and stuff. So they're older, so you really don't hear that much about them since they've been out for so long. There's not really much news on them, but yeah, that's really cool that there's stuff coming out.
No, but like Dragon Ball, like the manga's still going. They've like kind of they haven't stopped doing that. The anime, who knows what's going on with the anime? I think it's still popular, so I assume they're gonna do a new anime at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps it wraps it up. This has been great, man. This is. Do you think you could come back for part 2?
Yeah, I could definitely come back anytime. Yeah, no.
Can you share us a link?
Yeah. I can come back anytime you want a guest on, talk shit,
awesome.
That's
talk
awesome,
about sports or whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm down to come back.
Let's do it.
So let's throw up these links so I can give my people's shout outs.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna shout out my wife. She's got her own fashion. It's ZKSB Studio. So she does my hat I'm wearing. She does jewelry necklaces that are made out of concrete. She does some earrings and stuff like that. She's popping out there. So you can find her on Etsy. So etsy.com/shop/ZKSB Studio, or on Facebook.com/ZKSB Studio. Shout out to my baby sister, Julia. She's got her motorcycle company. If you have motorcycles that are kind of antique-y, she hooks them up. She'll fix them up. She's designed motorcycles for movies. That old girl Ghostbuster movie. She designed those motorcycles that were used in those.
Wow.
Yeah, her company did that. So Mad Max. She was involved in the new Mad Max movie too. So she's done some stuff. Madhouse Motors in Cambridge. So you can find her there. And then for me, KobraKawaii. You can find us on all social media. You can find us on online at www.KobraKawaii.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all are KobraKawaii. And then if you want to shop on our website, I can give you 10% off of $25 or more, which is the best discount you can get, because basically all our shirts are $25. So it's the discount code is Nakama, NAKAMA, which basically means friend. It's from One Piece, which is another anime that influenced me a lot. My B-boy crew is actually named after One Piece.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, we're the Strawhat Pirates. Shout out to Strawhat Pirates.
I can see that. Yeah.
Shout outs to Aaron, B-boy Shinobi, Shaq, and we got Shaq and our buddy Zohar. All my crew we're all big Strawhat Pirates and One Piece fans. So
cool.
in this quarantine time, even though there's 100 episodes, this is a perfect time to watch it.
It's 1,000. It's not 100. It's 1,000.
Yo, it does not matter. It is time for people to start watching it and giving One Piece the respect it deserves. You have the time. You are all not doing shit. Watch it. But yeah, those are all the shout outs. I gotta shout out my peoples that support me and repped me and done everything. My family's been out there grinding. My wife, she's out there. She doesn't have to be at the conventions with me, but she's out there. She's helping me. She's promoting me. It's always a good look when the girls are yo, check this out. This female's out here repping too.
Absolutely.
Now she's starting the same vein as me, and she's doing her own thing. But she, with the concrete stuff, and she's being creatively minded, and it's cool to see people who may not have ever been that creative. She didn't do that stuff before I met her, but now she's got her own thing going. And it's really cool. I'm jealous as shit of her business card. Is so
nice.
Nice. The front. It's just the business card itself, with it's glittery and stuff. On the back, she's got how to take care of your concrete jewelry on the back.
Wow.
I don't know for shirts. So it's tight.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
No, this has been a blast, man. Definitely gonna do a part 2.
Yeah. Gang. I'll be glad to come back anytime. I love you're my boys, and I got my new friend right here.
Louis. Yep. Louis. Well. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for listening to our first ever interview on the Studs podcast. I think it was super informative. Definitely want to do another part soon. It was great talking to you, Gabe. You can find us on Facebook at Studs Podcast, s.t.u.d.s podcast. We are on the anchor.fm platform. We're also streaming on Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and a few others as well. I know times are tough right now, but if you would like to and you want to keep us going, you can definitely sponsor us on our anchor.fm platform. 99 cents, $1, whatever it is. If you definitely want to help out, that'd be great. And lastly, I want to thank again our frontline workers for all that you do. And we're gonna get through this, and hope it gets better soon. So, with that being said, thank you guys for listening. For Louis, Keith, for our buddy Gabe, will definitely be back on the show. Thank you so much, guys. Go to www.KobraKawaii.com. Everyone, peace out.
Peace out.
Gang.